Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, people. I want to review the third Ashes test and how it sets up the series and the latest state of play, the most intriguing contest that we're witnessing as well, and how it's going to shape up in the next two tests. So people, England have just won the third test against Australia by 3 wickets at Headingley, and in so doing they've reduced the gap in the overall series. They're now trailing 2-1. Australia still in the ascendancy, still in the advantageous position of only needing one more result in their favour to win the Ashes, retain the Ashes. Whether that's a draw or a win in the next game, they will secure the Ashes. So it's now a very fascinating balance of power in terms of who holds the momentum, who is in the ascendancy in the series. But just reflecting firstly on the game itself, everyone, there were a few noteworthy performers. So in that first innings, Australia made 263, so it was quite a low scoring game. Mitch Marsh came in and on his first Australian cap in over 4 years, or since 2019, hitting 118, incredible. Mark Wood with an express pace spell. There was a 3-over spell or a 4-over spell, his initial burst. That was the fastest ever spell recorded in England in terms of average delivery. So incredible from Wood, and he registered 5 wickets, 5 for 34. Wokes chipping in with 3 wickets. England responding with 237. Stokes with an incredible knock of 80, and Cummins, the main wicket taker for Australia, at 6 for 91. And I think this was the turning point in the game, people. If we just pause to reflect on England's first innings, because there was a moment here where it looked as if England were really in the midst of a collapse that would mean they would have been well in arrears of Australia's total. They would have been around about 80 to 120 runs short had it not been for a post-lunch recovery. And I think Stokes was at the heart of it, obviously with his 80 hitting the ball to all parts, but Mark Wood chipped in with a quick fire 24 from only about 8 or 9 deliveries. It was an incredible knock. And yeah, just enough resistance from the tail that meant England were only in arrears of 26 runs after that first innings, when it could have been a lot more, given the fact they were 5 or 6 wickets down for not many in that first session. They had a stinker of a first session, as I recall it. But that innings from Stokes really contributed to a shift in momentum. And then Australia made 224, and again, that was probably under par if you consider it in the context of the match, considering the pitch was flattening out and the ball was coming onto the bat reasonably well. There was a fair bit in it for the fast bowlers, but for Australia to get 224 in that second innings, they would have wanted a bit more. Head with an incredible knock of 77, and Broad and Wokes both registering 3 wickets. And then the run chase, England 254 for 7. Now, I was very impressed with this run chase, people, because I actually said to some of my friends that after both sides had batted for the first time, that any chase of around 250, I would say it's a sticky run chase for England, given the fact that I've seen them in the past have batting collapses, and that pressure of fourth innings run chase needing to win, or the Ashes was effectively over. That would, for me, at the time, I thought, yeah, 250 would be tricky. So for England to knock it off, and I actually felt, although it was only a 3-wicket win in the end, I actually thought they were good for that. They played pretty well and they were in control. I thought Crawley batted well up at the top, and Harry Brook was phenomenal. I really rated his knock of 75. Anything full in the slot, he was putting away, cover drive in. There was one straight drive, I think off Boland. It was in the air initially, but the power on that shot that he generated just whizzed past Boland in a flash, and he picks up length really well on the spinner. I noticed that in his first innings. And yeah, anything good length for a spinner, Brook will lock back onto the back foot and just slash it through the offside. So he's a very good player with the spin as well. And he marshalled England to that score. And then at the end, Wokes and Wood coming in, the two players who, along with Moeen Ali, were additions and changes made for this third test. They both stood up there at the end with important knocks just to get England over the line, because when Wokes came in, I think they needed roughly 80 runs to win, and they only had, 4 wickets in hand. So at that point, you'd almost say, geez, Australia are getting back into this. But Wokes' knock was really important. And then when Brook did get out, I initially thought, oh no, has this left England a little bit too short? But no, Wood came in and hit a couple of very important boundaries, one 6 and then a 4 that he turned into a Yorker, I think off Stark. A very full pitch ball that he was able to power through the offside. So I was really, really impressed, people, with that run chase from England. And in those first 2 matches, I was very frustrated as an England cricket fan watching England in those matches, because I felt as if they were somewhat frivolous and careless with how they went about it, and there was an element of arrogance in how they operated. I just felt like there was a sense that, oh, we're not adapting or changing anything from our method, our principles. We're going to play as we play, regardless of the situation. And I felt at the time like, guys, you've just got to smarten up and be a little bit more aware of the situation, especially in the second test. I was so frustrated when England were 188 for 1, chasing something I can't even remember. I think Australia made somewhere around 300 and odd. And for England to collapse in the manner they did for those last 9 wickets, and some of the shots that they played getting caught on the boundary, I think Pope, Root and Brook all got out in a similar way, just trying to hit it over the infield and beat the guys on the boundary as well, and it just didn't work. And that left me feeling like England were throwing it away a little bit. Of course, Australia were playing very well, and I think that's something that gets lost in all of this questioning of Bazball, is the fact that England are being challenged and tested by the best team in the world. And of course, when you're playing against the best team in the world, any tactic that you employ, it's not going to go seamlessly because the opposition is so strong. So I think we always need to consider that whilst England did falter and seemingly provide some loose cricket in those first 2 tests, part of that is down to Australia being very good at executing their plans and sticking to their methods and their execution of those plans. So I think those first 2 tests I was a little bit frustrated. I was pleased with the selections initially coming in with those changes. So I liked, as I said, guys, Wokes and Wood both made excellent contributions, and Ali as well took a couple of key wickets. In this 4th test, I would obviously assess who's fit. That's first things first. It looks like Ollie Robinson's carrying an injury. So I would, if Tong is fit, I would bring Tong back in for Robinson. And the Jimmy Anderson question for me is really tricky, because obviously he's a legend of English cricket. He's chasing down 700 test wickets, and he's a wonderful bowler in English conditions when it's overcast, when it's swinging. So, and it's his home ground, isn't it, Old Trafford? So I just wonder whether England would consider the option of Anderson. For me, I'm not sure on that. I would be more inclined to get Tong in. Whether you bring in Tong and Anderson, that's a different question. But that would mean you'd have to look at dropping either Broad or Wokes or Wood, all of whom had good matches. So I would be reluctant to do that. I think I'd go just with Josh Tong for Ollie Robinson in terms of a seam department change. For the spinner, I would consider Ahmed. I really would. I do obviously really rate Moeen Ali. He got his 200th test wicket in his last test. But I just feel maybe a fresh approach, someone coming in to add that element of freshness, something different, a bit of an element of mystery with the wrist spin. It could be the way to go. Moeen has had injury issues in this series with his finger blisters, so we'll see. But I just feel like I would probably go with Ahmed for Moeen Ali, and I would, as I said, go with Tong for Robinson. And the other change I would consider would potentially be Folkes for Bairstow, because I've just noticed Johnny Bairstow, some of his catching I've not been impressed with, and I just feel as if his batting isn't weighing in with enough runs either at the moment. And the controversy angle as well with the whole run out thing, I just feel like for whatever reason he isn't, the contest isn't bringing the best out of him, and the spice and the tension and the rivalry isn't leading to an outcome where he's performing at his best. I feel for some reason maybe the controversies, the chat that's going on, he just seems to be on the receiving end and not quite winning the battles. So I've just got a question mark about him. So I would consider Folkes for Bairstow as well. So maybe 3 changes. That would be what I'd go with. Obviously fitness permitting. If Tong is fit and all of the guys who I'm suggesting are fit, then that's what I'd go with. It's going to be a cracking 4th test, people. I cannot wait to see how it unravels. And is finally poised. England can definitely win the next test. And I think this is what they're doing. They're trying to break it down session by session, day by day, test by test. Not getting too far away. Just try and win each session. The old mantra, just get the better of each session, whether that's 4 wickets of the opposition, whether that's partnerships that you're making with the bat. That's the key for me for England now. And yeah, be interesting to see how it goes. Okay, people, hope you liked the video. Shoot me through some comments to weigh in on any of these discussion points. And yeah, let's keep the dialogue going into the 4th test. All right, people, peace, love.